Not every dog gets the easiest beginning. Some are overlooked, some are abandoned, many are abused. There's more need for animal rescues in this country than ever before, and by shining a light on some of them, I'm hoping to get some of these dogs adopted. Some are labeled too much, too old, or too broken. But what if these dogs are just waiting for someone to see them differently? The next episode you're going to listen to is heart-wrenching, and it broke my heart. Things that are happening in this country that I had no idea were happening. Dog auctions. Puppy mills I knew about, I didn't understand how bad they were. So just a word of caution as you get ready to listen to this next episode. It is an eye-opening, but it's also a very sad one. I am very pleased to be joined by a woman called Shannon McKenzie, who, since she was a child, wanted to own a dog rescue. And so now she has one. It's called Underdog Rescue. The work they do is so important, unfortunately. Please give it a listen. And if you can, please help. Please do. Support any way you can. It breaks my heart that there are so many dogs in need, but each of us, if we do something, maybe we can help just a little bit. Maybe we can help just one dog. That would be amazing. So as I said, there's some things in this next episode that are a little hard to hear, but I think it's important to understand what's happening. Welcome back to A Dog's Devotion, the podcast that tells the stories of love, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between dogs and people. Dog rescues are more important now than ever, and I really want to spend more time talking to some of the people who run them. This is hard work. It's mentally draining and it's expensive, but these humans that have a heart of gold and a determination that knows no bounds continue to help dogs that are in need of help and in need of a loving home. So today we're joined by Shannon from Underdog Rescue, an organization dedicated to giving the dogs who need it most a real chance at life. From rescuing the overlooked and misunderstood to placing them in loving homes through fostering and adoption, Underdog Rescue is built on compassion, patience, and the belief that every dog deserves to be seen, understood, and loved. We're going to talk about the reality of rescue, the power of fostering, and the incredible transformations that happen when someone decides to take a chance on an underdog. So, Shannon, thank you for joining me. I know you're in your car right now, and I really appreciate that. And I'm sorry you have to sit in the front seat for
That's
this.
yeah. There'll be no dogs barking, interrupting us or
I
anything.
know, and I'm so used to it. I've spoken to so many people and they apologize because I hear all the dogs in the background and dogs
Mhm.
jumping. And I say it's okay. That's what this podcast is all about. We're dog lovers, and so it's
Yeah.
okay. But thank you for this. I
Yeah.
want to ask you first about your mission statement, which I think is really important. And it's rescue, rehabilitate, rehome the underdogs. Did you
Mhm.
come up with that? And what's the meaning of all that?
Yeah, I did. I was always the person that wanted to visit all the dogs in animal control and in the shelters. I, moved here from San Francisco to the Twin Cities and would visit Minneapolis Animal Control, and in doing that, I became aware of another rescue that would pull animals from there and started volunteering with them. I just noticed there were specific breeds that they shied away from. There were older dogs they shied away from. There were medical cases they didn't have the resources for. So in the course of volunteering, I just more and more became passionate about helping the underdogs that were being left behind, falling through the cracks, didn't have any rescue opportunity. So
Mhm.
that was the original mission of Underdog Rescue, to help dogs like that.
So, what would be an underdog? I mean, I know I volunteer at the Humane Society here, and unfortunately, most of the dogs that have been in there long term, and there's a
Yeah.
couple that have been in there for 4 or 5 years because it is a no kill shelter, they're pit bulls or they're a pit bull
Right.
mix, and that seems to
Yep.
scare people off. Is that,
Yep.
would that be considered one of your underdogs?
Was one of the original underdogs in the city of Minneapolis. I was in law school at the time, and I realized by visiting Animal Control Weekly that they had a policy of not just pit bulls, but anything they considered a bully breed, which and sometimes meant boxer or bulldog, Rottweiler, not chow they allowed. Certain breeds, if they came in there and weren't reclaimed and they had a very low reclaim rate, they didn't make it back out the front door with anyone. They wouldn't let a rescue take them. They certainly weren't available for adoption. So I teamed up with an attorney in Minneapolis and we took on the mayor at the time and got the policy changed. And so we were one of only a couple rescues that were able to take dogs, pit bulls specifically from Minneapolis Animal Control. So that was a lot of the start from when we began in 2000 until about 2008 was primarily pit bulls because they didn't have anyone else to help them, really.
Right.
So that was the start of Underdog Rescue, helping dogs like that that had no other options.
Mm. You're an interesting rescue organization because you're foster based. You don't actually
Mhm.
keep any dogs in
Mm-mm.
your headquarters.
Yep.
So the need for fosters must be quite immense. And I've been following you on Instagram and you've got some of the cutest, oh my gosh, the cutest dogs, moms with all their babies, and you've
Mhm.
got great stories. And what I really liked is there's one post, and I think this is really interesting for people who are looking at rescuing a dog, is
Mhm.
the common questions that you get
Yeah.
from people and why some dogs need to be with another dog.
Yep.
And so, can you tell us some of the more common questions that people ask and why fostering is so important for these dogs?
Right. Well, in terms of potential adopters questions or fosters questions?
Adopters' questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oftentimes they won't understand our policies that we're really committed. If a dog is shy, I mean, ideally, dogs are pack animals. Unless a dog has an aggression issue that can't be solved through training with other dogs, I feel strongly that ideally they should be in homes with other dogs. So typically we like to see dogs be adopted to homes that have another dog. If it's a shy dog or any level of a flight risk, we prefer that there's a fenced yard so that for their safety, we do have policies that we do home visits and we do reference checks. And if it comes to light that you smoke indoors with your pet, that's for us, that's a deal breaker because our view is on the health of the dog and the well-being. And it's not enough to just rescue the dogs. You want to make it so their life is as good as it can be because you can't rescue every dog. So, in honor of the dogs we can't rescue, we just try our best to find the best long-term outcome for this dog's life.
Right. Do you how many fosters do you have right now with you with Underdog?
I would say off the top of my head, we have at least 120.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, we are very, very fortunate. Minnesota is a very specific area in the country where it's almost more Scandinavian in mindset, and they just Minnesotans really value taking care of everybody and of animals and of being a part of a community. So it's I don't know that you can really replicate what we're able to do in virtually any other part of the country that I've
No, but
seen. And
that's why I
yeah.
think you're so unique in what you do in the whole process of getting your dog, fostering it, and then people who are interested in dog goes to your website and they
Mhm.
put in you've got filters so they can put in,
Mhm.
certain filters to bring them down to the type of dog that might be perfect for their family.
Right. Yeah, that was my childhood dream to be able to, like, make a career of finding the right dog and matching it with the right family, like, putting those 2 together, and so that's part of what we built into Underdog Rescue.
Has this been something you've wanted to do since you were a kid?
For sure, for sure. I was always crazy about animals and thought about being a vet, and that interested me, but not enough. Obviously, went to law school, thought about being a lawyer for, you know, pursuing some type of animal law. But when I was in law school, I would spend my time making these elaborate flyers highlighting every animal at Minneapolis Animal Control that might be put to sleep and where they could go to hopefully adopt it. And I would be putting them in the mailboxes of all the other law students. So it kind of clicked that maybe this isn't what I should be doing continuing law school. Maybe I should pursue something like Underdog Rescue before I it became what it is today.
Wow. Congratulations, good for you. Did you
Thanks.
finish law school?
I did not. I finished the first year, and then it was like all hands on deck Underdog Rescue for the next 26 years.
Wow, so can I ask you how you started? I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people who own rescues, and it's really hard, as I mentioned
Very.
right in the intro,
Yep.
you have to be so dedicated, the
Yep.
money you need to fund. I mean, you've got these poor moms who've got all these babies and dogs that come from all over that
Yep.
need money and vet bills. I mean,
Mhm.
how did you start? I mean, I believe when you put your mind to something, you can do anything. I
Right.
truly believe that. Where did you find the strength and the determination and the money to start a
Right.
rescue in the first place?
Yeah. Well, as I volunteered, I spent maybe a year or two volunteering, and so I built up relationships in that context with different vets in the area. Um, and I had a tiny inheritance from a grandparent that passed away. I mean, like we're talking like $10,000. And I used that as seed money to start Underdog Rescue. And really, I mean, I'd been asked that before, and honestly, I don't know how it was funded other than karma. Like that's literally my only answer. And so it just grew over the years, and the bigger we got, the better talent we would pull in with, you know, not just volunteers, but staff people. And it just kind of blossomed over the years.
That's amazing. First of all, where do you get your dogs from?
Most of the dogs right now, we work with different shelters, shelters in Arkansas, local shelters, shelters in Texas. We did for years quite a bit of puppy mill rescue. And in the course of that, we've developed relationships with breeders all over the country that will just give us their dogs instead of continuing to use them or just selling them at auction or putting them to sleep, which is something that does happen. So we'll get breeder release dogs in that context as well, oftentimes.
You do
So
I
yeah.
think that is I don't know how you got connected with breeders because I know breeders and puppy mills and what they do to those poor dogs, and then when they
Mhm.
don't need them anymore, they just,
Yeah.
take them out in the back, and unfortunately, a lot of times they shoot them
Right.
or right? So,
Yeah.
that's something really special about Underdog Rescue too, Shannon. You should know that not a lot of rescues do that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's hard work, and it's I mean, it was a matter of subtly building relationships with these breeders so that they would have an outlet, because when you have, 50 dogs at a time that you have to come into compliance and relocate, it's there are breeders that, yes, they are commercial breeders, but they do care about the dogs. They would prefer an alternative. So we've had breeders reach out to us that were going to put their dogs on an auction, but instead sought us out so that the dogs wouldn't have to go through that.
I don't know what kind of an auction do they do with these dogs?
They have dog auctions in Missouri monthly, if not weekly, throughout the year, virtually. There's two different auction houses in Missouri. And yeah, it's something when you first go, you feel like you cannot be in America. You would think it's some like third world country or somewhere in rural China. It's very, very bizarre. And it's just live auctions of dogs to the highest bidder. And when I first learned about puppy mills, this was back in 2008, 2009, there was legislation that had been passed in Missouri tightening up the rules because it was so out of control. And the response from the puppy mills was to, w- in mass, dump thousands of dogs because they were going to have to because they were out of compliance with these new laws. And so when I first went to puppy mill auctions myself to see what they were about, the dogs, and I'm not talking like once in a while, sometimes were being sold for a penny or a nickel or a
What?
dime. You could spend $25 and get 25 dogs. I mean, and some of them cost a nickel and some of them cost $5. That's how it was in the mid, like, 2008 for probably, it got better over the years, but for at least 5 years, it was like that. So, it was
And what are
crazy.
these people doing with these dogs that they're at an auction? Why would they buy a dog for a nickel or a 25 cents? What are they doing with them?
Most often, they're other breeders from other states. A lot of times they're Amish breeders. Sometimes breeders will come from Indiana or Oklahoma or other parts of Missouri. Maybe they're not licensed USDA breeders, so they're not as worried about being in compliance. And if they can go get these cheap dogs and then take them back and use them in their breeding program, that's what they'll do. And then there are also dog flippers that would get them and then put them up on Craigslist and sell them that way and turn a
Oh my
quick
gosh.
profit. Yeah, so
No, I've been doing this podcast for a year and a half, and I have never heard of dog auctions. That makes me sick to my stomach.
yeah. Oh, yeah, they're very real. They're very few and far between, luckily now, but they are
Yeah.
very much alive in Missouri,
Oh my
so
gosh. Okay. Can you walk us through what happens from the moment a dog is rescued to when they find
sure.
their forever home?
Yeah, so we were lucky to buy a headquarters building. So they come to our headquarters building in St. Louis Park, and we have an amazing transport team that has everything ready. They have a bag of goodies of like food and treats and puppy pads and anything they could want, and kennel. And they come in, and the team goes through each one, gets their weight, checks for a microchip, we check them out, see what their immediate medical needs are, and get them all ready to be picked up by their foster. So they go to their foster and we keep in touch with them. Each foster has an adoption coordinator. We get their vet work set up. Oftentimes, for instance, puppy mill dogs, any puppy mill dog, even 8 months old or older, will have to have a dental because they've had horrible food. They've been under stress their whole lives. So we'll schedule their vetting, which includes, of course, a spay or neuter, heartworm test based on age, dental. Almost anything but a young puppy would need a dental. And then they kind of learn to be a loved animal in their foster home. And as soon as their vetting is done, which takes at least 2 weeks, we'll place them up for adoption, and we have our website, and we put out alerts on Instagram and Facebook, and then somebody would apply, and each application is reviewed with that dog's needs in mind. And when we find one that would be approved for that dog, the adoption coordinator reaches out and they schedule a meet and greet to meet the dog. And if that goes well and if it's a good fit and they want to move forward, then we do the reference checks and the home visit, and then they adopt the dog.
Right. Now, do you have a radius, Shannon, that you adopt out to?
We try to stick within 60 miles of St. Louis Park, especially with puppies, because we want to make sure they get spayed and neutered on schedule. And that's harder to manage if they're outside of our area. On a case by case basis, we will consider out of area applications, but again, only if it's like the perfect fit, we'll make that exception. But generally, it's within an hour of the cities, for at least, or St. Louis
Right.
Park.
Now, I know it's mentally draining work for you. I mean, sometimes for me, just talking to people like yourself who do what you do, I just want to bury myself in my pillow and cry because it's just so sad.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face, and how do you keep yourself together on a day-to-day basis? And you being the head, the
Yeah.
leader, you got to make sure everybody underneath you is sane as well. How do you do that?
It's hard because, the people that wanna get involved in this have a lot of passion and, they're also sensitive people, and not many really understand that it's never gonna stop. It's like the mail. It keeps coming day after day after day. So it's just about endurance and trying to keep yourself grounded and have your own life and not let it become your life because it very much can become an all-encompassing lifestyle if you allow it, and that's a hard balance to strike for anyone with this kind of work because it's very emotional and you do get it's hard when you see what these animals go through and then you get like negative feedback on online or you have to deny an applicant for whatever reason. For instance, they smoke indoors and that's just not something that is best for the dog, and then you get a negative review because they don't want to follow your policy, that type of thing. That is hard. You just have to develop a very, very, very thick skin and keep going.
Right.
So
There's a lot of negative and there's a lot of heartfelt feelings that I feel and I know you go through, but there's got to be a rescue story that's positive and uplifting, especially one in particular that has stayed with you. Is there a story that you can share with us? A positive
there's
one?
yeah, it's hard because there's so many. I'll just give you like one of the most recent was a little lab mix that it came from an Arkansas shelter, and we weren't expecting it because it was 4 months old, but, I mean, it can happen at any time, and the poor little guy broke with parvo, and it was really touch and go. I mean, this from when he first went into the vet, they were not optimistic at all, and, I'm the type of person that I like to reach out to all the different vets I know, explain the situation, get a consensus, kind of crowdsource what the best thing to do is, and, I mean, they were so pessimistic about his outcome that we almost we had, like, essentially scheduled his euthanasia, and then I heard back from my last vet that I was waiting to talk to, and she said, "You know what? Try one more thing. No, there might be hope. Try this one more thing." And we did, and it worked, and it kept working, and then it was a roller coaster, and it was still touch and go. I mean, I was still getting 2 a.m. phone calls every night from the overnight vet saying, "It doesn't look good," and then by the morning,
No.
he would bounce back, and we kept going, and I honestly don't think if he would have been at any other vet clinic with the extent of the interventions that they did, I don't think he would have made it, but he did make it, and he's an amazing little dog, and he's healthy, and he's back in a foster home, and he's ready for adoption. So it was a huge success story, um, and it was amazing. I mean, the vet where we brought him, they'd never treated a dog for parvo like that because they were always told just euthanize it. They can't afford it. I mean, it was a huge financial commitment and it was a huge leap of faith that it was going to pan out. And it did. So it ended up being an amazing story, really. And that's little Shepherd's who's been on our Facebook and Instagram just recently since he just finally went up for adoption. First,
So there's Lippy that I'm looking at,
yeah.
and there's Cupid, the French
Yep.
bulldog.
Yep.
Um, there's Mama Colette with all her puppies.
Yes. Yes.
And you know which one I love? Is Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
That photo of Snoop is amazing. What has rescue, and you've been doing this for a while, obviously it's something you've been wanting to do since you were a child.
Mhm.
What has it taught you about dogs and about people?
It has taught me that dogs are the most resilient creatures on the planet. I mean, they can go through just untold trauma and overcome it and become happy. And a lot of these puppy mill breeders and things like that, and even the vets that I've run into that act as their USDA vets, don't believe us. They don't believe me when I say, this dog, we're going to adopt it out. We're going to do all the vet work and we're going to find it an amazing home. And they're just like, no way, that's a kennel dog. Kennel dogs, like, can't be in a home. Like, they just can't adjust, and they do adjust, and it's not without work, and it's not without patience, but they can come from the most horrific backgrounds and become amazing family members for people. So that's the number one thing I've learned from dogs over the years and from people is if there's a will, there's a way. Like, if you are not just attached to your dog, but you truly love it, and if it's having some kind of an issue that needs to be addressed behaviorally or medically, like, you can do that. It's not going to be easy, but you can find a way. Like, you can find a trainer that can help you. You can find a vet that can help you. So just invest in your dogs like family members because that's what they are.
How long does it normally take? I mean, I know these dogs have been through horrific situations. Many of them have never been indoors, they've never been outside of a cage,
Yeah.
they've never been held or loved.
Right.
I can't imagine. I mean, I've seen some horrific situations myself. How long does it normally take for you to work with these kennel dogs and get them to the point where they're able to be adopted out?
Yeah. It really varies. It varies on the dog. It varies on even the breed. Some breeds are more resilient than others. Some breeds handle adversity better than others. Like just working in the puppy mill context, breeds like Cavaliers, typically you can get a puppy mill Cavalier, and yes, it might be shy, but it's going to be every bit as sweet as any other Cavalier you've ever met in your life. So it just it depends on the dog, the breed, and the placement, like who it's with, how patient are they, how
Right.
committed are they, how realistic are their expectations because it can take time. So it's it's a journey and you just have to be in for the journey and commit to the dog in the process.
Right. So that just proves the importance of the foster mom or
Right.
dad.
Definitely. Yeah, because that's the first step from them getting their first experiences at a normal life for a dog. I
Yeah.
mean, and that can be true of shelter dogs, even owner surrenders if they've come from a bad situation where they've known abuse. They have to learn that they can be in a situation and they don't need to anticipate that abuse. They can learn to expect kindness instead of violence. So, I have a shelter dog of my own and there are still things that she's just not sure what's going to happen next because of things that have happened in her past. So, it all depends on how patient and committed people are as well.
Right. For someone who's listening and who wants to help but doesn't know where to start, what can they do?
We're always looking for volunteers. Like, if they can foster, great. If they can't foster, there's any number of ways that we need support with, administrative work, working at our headquarters, helping with transport. I mean, and that's true of every organization. There's any number of ways that you can help. If you can't have a dog of your own, even in a foster capacity, there are other ways that you can be helpful, even returning phone calls or helping support fosters with their dogs when they have questions. All sorts of areas that you can be of assistance and support within any rescue.
How can people find you?
Instagram, Facebook, underdogrescuemn.com. They can email us. We're as responsive as can be. So just shoot us a message or send us an email and we'll be happy to connect.
Okay. Thanks for joining me, Shannon. Thanks for taking some
Hmm?
time and sitting in your car. It's probably not too warm where you are right now.
It's not too bad. It's
I want to thank you for opening my eyes and all of our eyes to the puppy mill situation and the dog auction situation. And, it's even worse than I thought. And that really breaks my heart. But thank you for letting us know what's going on and doing your part to help that. Shannon, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today, for having a childhood dream of starting Underdog Rescue, and for opening my eyes and all the listeners' eyes to the fact that I know there's puppy mills. I didn't know there are puppy auctions.
Mhm.
I know the situation is probably worse than what I thought, and I already thought it was bad. Thanks for doing what you can and getting these dogs out of these auctions and helping putting a stop to the horrible things that these poor dogs are going through. So I want to thank you for that. It just breaks my heart.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's been great. Yeah.
Thanks to Underdog Rescue and Shannon McKenzie, who started it. She's doing some amazing things. And really, every dog at Underdog is waiting for a forever home, and they're in
Mhm.
foster homes right now. You can go to their website, underdogrescue.com, right, and find a dog or foster a dog. There's so many ways that you can help. So thanks to you, Shannon, and the team at Underdog Rescue, that you give so many dogs a second chance. You give them a home, you give them a family, a life they were always meant to have, whether it's through fostering, adopting, or simply helping, like you said, because when you give Underdog or any underdog a chance, they give you something in return, a
Mhm.
lot in return, actually, because dogs have nothing but love and compassion.
Right.
And even though they've gone through so much pain and suffering, they still have so much love to give.
Mhm. Exactly.
So thank you, Shannon. And thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being part of this journey. And if you want to follow along with us here at A Dog's Devotion, it's Dog's Devotion number 1.
But
And that's a wrap on another unforgettable story from the heart, because when it comes to love, loyalty, and second chances, no one does it better than our dogs. They find us when we're lost, lift us when we're low, and teach us what true devotion really looks like. Thanks for listening, and remember, in this wild world, we're all just trying to find our way home. Sometimes it takes 4 paws to lead us there. So give your pup an extra cuddle today and cherish your time with him. Give him some extra treats too. I know he'll love them. This podcast is in honor of my best buddy, Max.